Hey guys, just want to give a quick sharing today on your calling and just how this calling of your soul, which you could call your soul's work, your service, the way you give yourself to the world, the way you create, the way you contribute, just how this is actually a type of call and response that happens. So, your calling, it is available to you as much as you allow it to come through. It is not influenced by anything external other than you as the vehicle, as the vessel, as the enabler, as the allower for it. You just have to listen. Your calling is calling you. Are you available to respond? Are you listening? Are you ready to answer the phone? Most of the time we're not. And well, that's a bit of a harsh generalization. I think that in subtle ways, we aren't available to answer the call fully. And I'll go into a little bit about why I think this can happen. And it usually comes from well-meaning intentions. So you might feel this strong pull to get your work more out there to the world, to express yourself via your calling, to be available to your calling. But you can get very caught up into the how of how you think it needs to look. And what tends to happen is that people seek out information about how they can express their calling in the world, how they can bring forward their calling into the world. And what this often does is it engages you too much on a mental level. And you are given templates and structures and ideas from other people about how you can do this, how you can unleash this thing. But what often happens is that information can shut you down and can actually take you out of a type of responsiveness that you actually need to cultivate in order to be available for what your calling wants from you. I feel very strongly that it is about responsiveness, being able to have a type of presence and space and focus in your reality where you are available to respond to the callings. Now, what happens is that through this type of era we live in, where there's so much information, there's so much stimulation, there's so much coming at us from all sides, we can often become desensitized, we can become overstimulated, our attention can become weak, we can become unfocused. And we can also become inundated by all of the other perspectives from other teachers, from other guides, from other people on YouTube that you've learned about how to do this, that actually your ability to be truly responsive has become dulled. It has become desensitized. It is actually, the bandwidth itself is occupied while perceiving these other things that aren't quite it for it. So we do need to go through a deep deconditioning process in order to rehabilitate our sensitivity and to cultivate the depth and space that is required to become truly responsive to your calling and to what your calling asks from you. So there is a rehabilitation that needs to happen within your sensitivity, within your mind, within your ability to be present, that takes you away from the information of the world as it is, so that you can perceive the world as it wants to be from within you. Because the world of you living your service, you expressing your calling, it is a world, it is a future reality that wants to emerge through you as the vessel. However, you have to be available to hear the calling of that world, to respond to it, and to have the sensitivity to be able to be attuned to it. You will not be able to attune to that subtle realm and that subtle world of what wants to emerge through you if you are too busy perceiving the world as it is, and the worlds that are telling you who you should be and how you should do it. And here's this blueprint for doing it, and X, Y, Z, and all of the things that actually are perhaps in the general ballpark of what you need to do, but they aren't fully it for you. So just a word of advice, guys, take everything you hear with a grain of salt. Let it guide you towards yourself, but recognize that what comes from someone else isn't going to be completely it for you. And this is what I attempt to do in my sharings and in my work, is give you what I know that you can take so that you can open up the space within yourself, so that you can access your wisdom, so that you can access your knowing. It isn't about you taking my knowings about how it's going to work. It is about you accessing your knowings and me providing you the space for you to come into that yourself. So I'm saying here, guys, that in order to step more into your calling, you have got to develop the capacity to be responsive, a responsive space, a space that is receptive, a space that is available to perceive, to listen, to hear, and to know. And then from that, take the actions that you need to take. Now, there's two layers to this, to be honest with you. There is the layer of breaking out of your conditioned perspective about feeling that you are perhaps limited, that you are maybe not able to be of service in the way that you want to be. Whatever the story is actually going to be there, and everyone will have some form of a story. Maybe there's an idea that it's only the special ones that do it, or that you could never actually make a difference to people. I don't know. To be honest with you, limiting stories are not my domain. Every time I try to think of one as an example, I just can't quite grasp it. So just insert your own idea of your limited story that it is. It just feels so far from my like, it's just a long time past for me, and I almost like don't fully relate, but I am able to take you through it. So I'm just not very good at drawing up examples there, but there will be some form of limited story, which is a sense of self that you have that is blocking your ability to inhabit your calling fully. And it will usually come from conditioned perspectives about how you need to be in the world and the world itself, okay? So there does need to be an initial busting out of that so that you can be really responsive to what your calling wants from you. Now, I feel that there is a lot of teaching about how your calling is an energy, how you can express it no matter what, how you can express it in every single moment. And I do think it's very easy to have the perspective of, okay, well, it doesn't obviously matter then what the vehicle is for expressing my calling, what the pathway, what the way of expressing it, like, this doesn't matter because it's just an energy, it always gets expressed. Well, actually, I believe that there are better and worse ways, obviously relatively speaking, but there are some vehicles that are more suitable and more compatible for the vibration of your calling than others. And it is up to you to be discerning with those things, and don't stay caught in the trap that, okay, my calling is an energy, so I don't actually need to go and pursue the right vehicles and the appropriate forms for it that resonate the most and that can be the containers that hold its form. If you think about it, a vehicle is a container. It's an energetic container, and you're going to need a large one, a strong enough one to hold the power of your calling. Okay, so the vehicles, let's just think about this in the context of myself. My vehicle for many years has been coaching, has been types of facilitating and creating spaces that are transformative. That is a vehicle, but that's not my calling. Okay, teaching is a vehicle. Healing modalities are vehicles. Creating a group of people that's focused on whatever your focus is, that is a vehicle. So it's important to recognize that the calling itself is separate from the vehicle that it happens within. And you do have to take time to discern and to establish the vehicles that are the most suitable for it. Okay? Now, let me feel if there's more around that. And I really want to challenge any of you, and particularly the Lightworker collective that doesn't believe that they actually need to establish a suitable container and a suitable vehicle for their calling, because it just happens in natural flow and abundance, and it just is an energy that comes through me no matter what. Yes, that is true. However, as I said, if you really want to bring it forward in a way that is truly a bridge for other people, that truly takes ownership for its greatest power, for its greatest possibility, for its greatest capacity, you need to choose vehicles that are truly suitable and that can really hold its vibration and hold its energy. And I do think that is an important consideration. It is the energy of your calling in a lot of ways is it's like a stream. It's an energy, and it needs a container. It needs something to hold it. If you think about it, like The vehicle is a type of a blueprint and architecture that allows the energy to move through it. So it is important. And I do think that we can get caught on uh, either of those camps, where we can get caught of focusing too much on the form and the structure in the vehicle, but not enough on the essence, on the aliveness, on the place that you are coming from, on making sure that you are truly channeling your calling. Or we can be too focused on the other side, which is just the energy of it, the intention of it, the essence of it, what your heart desires around it, but not recognize that we do need a form to hold it within. We do need to build the bridge somehow. So it is a calling. Be responsive, be attuned, listen to it, become available for it. The more available you are for it, the more it will be available for you. But it will not come to you if you are not available for it. If you are distracted and focus on other things that are contrasting vibrations, that are vibrations that take you out of a state of responsiveness, if you are subscribed to limiting beliefs and ideas that you could never be this person, okay, just an example, that is not a state of receptivity. That is not a space of true openness. What will often happen is that we are transmitting a type of mixed frequency where part of us is open, but part of us is closed. And you may draw to you experiences that catalyze you to recognize where you're actually closed. And that is the work. Okay, so I feel very, very strongly the work is in the cultivating the responsiveness. This is honestly the most direct message that I can give you around this. And a responsiveness also calls you into a bit of humility, where you actually aren't the one that knows exactly how this needs to go, but you're listening, you're tuning in, and you're available to act on however it needs to go. And often the action will kill your ego a little bit, and you may have some resistance to it, and you may just go like, and you may be afraid to step out and step in, but once you do, it will be amazing, and there will be nothing that feels as good as this, because the feeling of being in your calling is just absolutely phenomenal. It is the most fulfilling and rewarding and beautiful and deep things that there could be. It is a frequency that resonates so much with your system and who you are, and it lights you up from the inside, and it just truly transports you into a whole other place, because it creates a whole other reality through you. You're here to be the bridge, allow the emergence to happen. Please be responsive. Please clear out the things that take you out of responsiveness so you can be available to it, because it is seeking you. You are seeking it. It is seeking you. You want to come together, and this possibility, this probability, this reality is just on the other side of a very small gap that you are building the bridge to. Maybe you're not even aware of just how much you've built the bridge to it, and it will go in cycles. There'll be initial phases where you step into offering your calling in more direct ways, and then you will reach a culmination with that, and then you have to upgrade, and it will happen time and time and time again. And that is the cycle, that is the transformation, that is the death and the phoenix rising from the ashes as the old self dies out and the new one is born. Do not be afraid of the transformation and the rebirth in it, but as long as you are always receptive and attuned and keeping your finger on the pulse energetically, you'll be guided towards where you need to go and who you need to be and what you need to let out from within you. You will draw to you what you need if you let out what is within yourself. When you let out what is within yourself, you are expressing your most true vibration, and you bring that back to you in a reflection in the external reality. So go forth, guys. Be responsive. This is honestly it. And your calling is calling you. It is a call and it is a response. You don't have to. Oh my God, this is probably a whole other live stream. Let's see what time it is. This really could be a whole other live stream. But you're not here to manage it with your mind. You're not here to control how it needs to look. What often happens is we think, okay, I will be in my calling and I will express my talents and my gifts if I know all the other steps that are actually 5 steps down the line. And if I know the total place that it needs to go, you don't need to know that initially. You just need to step, you need to desire, you need to say yes, you need to go, you need to act, you need to move, you need to become available, you need to be receptive. You have to just take the first step first. There is no other step that you need to take other than the first step. You do not need to know all of the steps before you take the first step. Please just take the first step, and then the rest of the steps will become available to you, okay? Now, do not restrict the flow and the availability by being too focused on the how it needs to look, on the how it could possibly come into manifestation, on the how you are to deliver it. No, stay with the simplest aspect of it, the most pure desire, the availability, the presence, and the willingness to respond to the calling. And the hows will present themselves later. The hows are secondary, they are not primary. Let the force come out from within you. The force is calling you to be responsive. We're calling you to become available. And that is your job. Your calling is calling you. Please let yourself be responsive. Please let yourself listen. This is the reality for us all. It asks us to let go of the ways in which our mind tries to control it, the way our programming says that it can't be this, the way our fear is creating dominion of us. Yes, there'll be a purge. Yes, there'll be difficult things to face and to let go of. Okay, but that is part of the process. You just have to acknowledge, I'm having a process. This is alchemy. And this is the liberation, and it happens. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with me. It doesn't mean that I'm on the wrong path. This is the alchemy of the lower frequencies, the more dense energy that needs to happen in order for your vehicle to become more available for the frequency of your calling. Okay, your calling is calling. Bye, guys.